Alright. Alright. Welcome back to Doom Eternal. After a brief, well-needed break to try to recover, and then, of course, the Dead Space remake, which took massive priority, we are back onto Doom. So, I'm recording this on Sunday. Like, if you watched the Dead Space remake video, I had said that I'll be, posting on Monday. This is being recorded today, edited, and everything will be set up to go out tomorrow. So without further ado, let's jump back in. If I remember correctly, the last thing we did was beat the Gladiator.
The Khan Maker has overloaded your systems. Vega has no control over...
If you had let the culling continue, the human race you fight to protect would have survived. Now I will resurrect the Icon of Sin. He will devour Earth and leave your home world in ruins. Life on your planet shall never return. And this will be yet another world you brought to extinction.
Yeah, it's totally him doing that.
This stronghold will now serve as your prison. With no power, you can do no more harm to our mission, and we may continue the work that must be done.
As BFG Division hits off. Let's just quickly deal with these motherfuckers. This is by no means a hard part, and I don't even think she expects this to kill us. It's only a bunch of baby demons. Bunch of fodder here. That it? That's it. Alright. What she doesn't expect, about to be said, this.
She didn't know you had the demonic crucible. In the end, the very power source you sought to eradicate from Earth is now what will help you save it.
The mission on Sentinel Prime was a success. The demonic consumption of Earth has been stopped.
Only a Slayer's Crucible blade can stop a Titan. You must get to the Sentinel city of Taras Nabad to retrieve your Crucible before it is too late. Without it, the Titan cannot be stopped.
Setting the portal to Taras Nabad.
Alright. Let's listen to this real quick.
This is the Resistance Network, broadcasting live from inside the Arctic safe zone. There was a Slayer sighting on Phobos. Eyewitness reports say that he was spotted inside a command center, and then proceeded to fight his way through the mortally challenged and onto the deck of the BFG-10K. This can't be confirmed, but many believe it was the Slayer himself who destroyed Mars in an attempt to stop the challenged from further advancing their position on Earth. We will post more information as it comes in. This is an ARC broadcast.
Alright, so don't know if that's active yet, so I can grab it. Got a bunch of weapon upgrades, but first, let me do this. We'll do one of those. And that. Less cooldown's good. Okay. So, let's make sure everything I actually use is upgraded now. Remote detonation. Oh yeah, this is the playthrough that I fucking grabbed the wrong rocket upgrade and it fucked me over for that long. Then I immediately went and grabbed the wrong fucking chain gun upgrade too. Alright. That's done. Just gotta do my challenges now. Which is Arbalist. Kill 20 Cacodemons. This is to lock onto the ones that teleport. This is just to get spread fire kills. This is weak points, right? No, precision headshots. And this is on the Arachnoton turrets. And of course my super shotgun I maxed out immediately. I did those, but I missed that down there. And can I get this one yet? Let me see. Yes. Grab it because there's no reason not to. Fully upgraded suit. As far as I know, because I don't think I've really ever used the cheats yet. I should just do a cheat playthrough and just fuck around with it. But as far as I know, this isn't the fully upgraded suit, just fully upgrade the Praetor suit, which at this point you pretty much would already have fully upgraded. I could very easily be wrong, I don't know. Alright. I've been having a lot of ideas on things I could do to try to like add some new spark of life to these playthroughs. Because I think that's important. It's always been the thing I've pushed the most, especially when I've given advice to other people. Because if there's one thing I've done very well over the years, it's paying attention to how people grow on things and platforms like YouTube. I've noticed how the algorithm works. I've noticed all what people seem to like the most, all that type of shit. So we was just like quietly paid attention to it. It has been a dream of mine. It used to be, at least, a dream of mine to have my own popular YouTube channel, but I never really wanted to do it alone. I still don't. It's really been one of those things that I wanted to have like a group of friends I could play with and record and do that type of shit. It's been a dream that I've wanted to do since before I comprehended what video editing was. Like, there are some old videos that were just awful. I'm kind of glad that there's not really, at some point over the years, YouTube kind of fucked them over, so they could, I don't think they can even be accessed anymore. And I don't really care that they can't. Alright, that's just another cheat code, so I'll get that later. And I could grab that at any time. It's just talking about this, the Fortress of Doom. It's in the Slayer's room. Alright, to Taras Nabad. I hope my skill isn't... I hope I don't have a skill issue, because I haven't played this in a while. And Manto's Ice Bomb Codex entries.
Crucible is still embedded in the Titan that attacked this Sentinel City. Your first battle against the demons in this world, where the legend of the Slayer began.
Fuck. Yeah, I hope I don't have too much difficulty. I have been playing FPS. Like, I was just straight up taking a break from recording after finishing the Dead Space remake, because that was just 2 straight days of recording. I beat that within the 2nd day of release. Mostly because I was really excited to just play it, but also because I wanted to get it out fast. So with that, and just taking the break from recording that I did need, I've been playing a lot of Destiny. I've been taking clips from that, so if you see a clip reel at some point, that's why. I've been doing pretty good, honestly. Because I haven't just been doing, like, PvE. I actually started doing some of the PvP, and I've been doing pretty fucking good. At least for my standard, but I'm not the best at that, so getting, like, a 7.0 for my combat efficiency, it feels really nice. Feels really good. And I've been getting quite a few of those recently. Alright, time for this bastard. So I have that going for me. So I have been playing, and I spent like a little bit of time on Fortnite and Overwatch with friends. So I have been actually playing things, so my reflexes should still be up. But you won't know how it goes. So this is done. This is also the added on, like I think something I was talking about before is that the recording, putting focus into talking really does take up a big portion of the brain. You end up being able to focus a lot less on what you're doing as you try to split the sensors of your brain to talk and be entertaining as well. Outside of self-deprecation and all that shit, of, you know, I'm not exactly the type of person you go to when you're looking for skill in gameplay. There's even more than channels trying to be Let's Players, there is more channels that just sit around doing. Well, I don't want to say fuck all, but it's just really they're not trying to add personality into the gameplay. It's just a straight through walkthrough, which is valid, but it's not what I want to do. I don't want to sit here and just be a walkthrough channel. I want to have, like, if I am going to make something out of this, which I think I innately decided at some point throughout Dead Space that I would like to, because I enjoyed being able to share that. Then I need to bring something to the table. Yeah, so like I've said, I have some ideas lingering around. Funny, some of it leaves me questioning to if I'm a good actor. Not because I'm gonna try to do like some, you know, Markiplier level shit of meta, or what Jack's doing his own thing too, of like commentary of characters and a shared story. I don't know if I'm ever gonna want to do something like that, but who knows? But that's not what I'm talking about. I have a different idea that I don't think I'm gonna talk about out loud, mostly because I'm still just trying to figure out if I want to actually do it. But if you pay close attention to the Dead Space playthrough, you'll see that I was already testing it out. Like, mostly... Oh, shit. Shit. No! Thank you. Alright, more so towards the end than anything else. I was testing out that idea. Fuck! This bastard just summoned some friends. I'm gonna lose a life here. Yep, there you go. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I would be really intrigued if anybody could even pick up what I was doing there. It's not like it's super subtle, but it's not super obvious, and I'm kind of proud about that. So.
All that rage, and you couldn't save this world from itself. But this time Earth will be different.
You need to work on your motivational skills, Hayden. I love these. Honestly, one of the things I really do like about Doom is something I've never really taken advantage of. There's a lot of accessibility for people here. You don't have to be like a crazy, insane FPS gamer to be able to get through this game. Like, having a lot of skill and honestly a lot more determination is really rewarded, and you can get through the higher difficulties with that alone. Or especially with my first few playthroughs where I lacked on skill, I made up for with just sheer fucking will. I refused to quit. Even when I got stuck, I did everything on Nightmare. I mean, it was Ultra Violence first, but the Nightmare playthrough was where I felt it, and it was just like, I did all of it. I refused to quit. I have never changed my difficulty in this game mid-playthrough. I refuse to. I want to always be able to do it on the difficulty I set out to do it. But again, it's like one of those reasons why I don't think I'll ever try to play this game on Ultra Nightmare. It's just because I would not enjoy myself. I would make myself miserable trying to do it. I'll do it eventually, but I would make myself utterly miserable while doing it. So for my health and sanity and enjoyment of one of my favorite games, Ultra Nightmare is something I don't think that's ever going to happen as a full playthrough. Maybe I'll push my head through one of the master levels eventually, but as a full playthrough, it's just straight up not happening. That was easy. Okay. It's already a 16-minute recording. So, we got 7 episodes of Doom done already. We have this one. So that's 1, 2 for Necroval. 3. Urdak is 4, which makes 5. I forgot the auto map. 5 is Final Sin. So there's 5 more episodes left of base Doom. So it leaves me the question is, should I jump straight into Ancient Gods, which, like I said before, if I do that, Ancient Gods 2 is going to be on Nightmare, Ancient God 1 is going to be on Ultraviolence. There's some parts of that one that I've done it on Nightmare before. I have the saves, I can prove it, yada 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 yada. But, it's not really always fun to do. Like, it feels sometimes like too much shit was put in and it ended up with a huge feeling of inflated difficulty over stuff here where it actually feels like the difficulty makes sense. It feels like everything is a realistic challenge. A big challenge, but a realistic one. And honestly, Ancient Gods is that also. I mean, obviously, I've completed the challenge. But I don't always feel like I'm having fun doing it, and that's my priority. So I don't think I'm going to play Ancient Gods Part... that's the Ancient Gods Part 1, by the way. I don't think I'm going to play Part 1 on Nightmare for my sanity, basically. Because I was having enough difficulty doing the easier parts of this part of the game, on Nightmare, especially while recording. So I think mixing the recording and how bullshit Ancient Gods feels in the first place, Ancient Gods 1 in the first place feels, and putting it together is going to result in a really, really bad time. I don't want to do that. I want to have fun. I want to not get as frustrated as I was getting in those episodes where I ended up just straight up putting a montage in one of them where I ended up dying so much. That's not fun. A game, to me, the point of it is to have fun. It's the only game I've ever made that exception for is fucking Escape from Tarkov, because I knew what I was getting myself into there. But this game, I love the difficulty, I love the challenge, but I want to have fun, and I'm just too keenly aware that I'm still adjusting to playing and recording in the first place, so doing both on something that already gives me an extra challenge is just going to piss me off. So Ancient Gods Part 1 is going to be done on Ultraviolence, and we're going to go straight back to Nightmare for Part 2, because I think Part 2 is a lot more balanced, and I frankly just have more fun with that part of the game than any others. Any of the rest, I find that one's my favorite.
We must move. Quickly. There are those who would seek to stop this. I offer you a gift. Take it. It will give you strength. Help you on your journey. And now, they will fear you.
The Divinity Machine, I think it's called. Yep, the Divinity Machine. So what that is, it's very important for later. That's the machine that pretty much made him into the Doomslayer. Doom Guy, you know, the guy from the original, he always had the massive determination and willpower, and it's what got him through everything. It's how he ended up from Doom 3 into the here, which is the technical origin of the Doomslayer. But all this godlike power and strength wasn't his. Not to start, anyways. So going through that machine, being put in there by Samur, the Seraphim, it's what allows him to do all this shit, to be this physically powerful, to have these abilities of like blood punch and that shit. I think it's fucking great, honestly. The Doomslayer is like one of my favorite characters in fiction. With fuck. My favorite, obviously, is Isaac Clarke. And it's great. I've had a... When I went to go and start the Dead Space remake when it was coming out, I was getting so burnt out for recording already because of this game, honestly, because I didn't feel this burnt out when I was playing Dead Space 2. Because I wasn't having fun. I was already getting exhausted. And I said it in one of the episodes. It's starting to feel like a chore. And that's bad because as much as I'm doing, I was and am doing this to increase my editing skill, to get better so I can have a good portfolio, all that shit. This should still be something I'm having fun doing. I fucked that up. That is not good. This should still be something I'm having fun doing. I was not having fun. Like, I mean, part of the problem that on why I don't just have a 8 to 5 job is because nobody wants to fucking hire me. But even then, this should be something that... I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. I'm of the opinion that freelance work like YouTube should never just feel like a chore. Or just like a job. There's points where it is going to feel like a job because it is a job. Well, for some people who get lucky enough, it can be their job and it is their job. So it's something you have to work at and keep doing even when you just kind of don't want to. You just want to sit there and have a day off. But I don't think it's something you should 100% despise doing like I was starting to. And I had just started out. But this game and other mixed circumstances was making me feel... It was just making me hate what I was doing already, and I hadn't even started. I barely started. I barely have a following. I think I only have like 28 subscribers or something. It's way too early for me to be hating doing this. That's not how you get anywhere. So the break I took, even though I'm a bit unhappy because I wanted to try to do just like one every day. The break I took was so necessary. I took a few days off. And the break just from this game in general, and I played something that not only is it my favorite series, but it's a game that I had been looking forward to for forever. So doing that, it renewed my want to do this, but the other thing it did is it solidified that I want to do new things with this. As much as I enjoyed doing Dead Space 2, and I am going to go back, I have a couple ideas. Or Dead Space 2 that I want to do, and also with the Dead Space remake. So for both of them, I want to do a New Game Plus speedrun. Dead Space 2 is probably going to be a lot better with that because I know that game like the back of my fucking hand. With the Dead Space remake, I'm going to try to do that too. I've already beaten it twice. I was going to go and beat it again on Impossible, and I still am. I'm not recording for that. I do not want to record Impossible mode. Not until I've beaten it at least once or twice. Because I think that is going to be hard. I see guides for it online. I haven't read any, because I kind of just want to go into it blind. But yeah, I want to beat it at least twice more before I do any recordings for it. Once it's going to be me doing a New Game Plus, with just not New Game Plus, just a regular new game with just the plasma cutter. I'm going to run through it as fast as I can. Minimal backtracking. Only things that I think I'm going to get all the upgrades I need, just because that's how you get all the power nodes. You got to get all the upgrades because each upgrade gives you a new power node. So minimal of that shit. Just doing all the optional stuff. None of the extra weapons, just the plasma cutter because I want to get 100% trophies. And the other one will be actually doing it on Impossible. Did I miss the key? No, the key's over here. Oh, okay. So we're going to do a gate real quick. See how this goes. Yeah, remember, gates are things that could eat through all of my lives really fucking quickly. So don't be surprised if I end up going a little bit quiet as I try to focus and not die over and over and over again. This is the last gate, though. Shit. Shit. Yeah, the most important thing for me that I think I didn't realize I needed was that as much fun as I was having with Dead Space and I was and still am having with Doom. Though I think at this point the primary reason I'm carrying all the way through with recording Doom is just because I refuse to let something drop like that. Is that I need to just do this with something new, something I can invest myself more into than just the raw skill that you have to do this on Doom. Because that's a lot of what Doom has to be. It has to be raw skill to get you through it. It has to be focuses on the gameplay loops. It has to be focused on... Can you fucking die already? It has to be focused on the gameplay loops. It has to be focused on... I keep losing... what's actually going on. With the smallest mess-ups, I know I've said that before, the smallest mess-ups can ruin an entire set of lives for you. Forget just, you know, dying. And it happened to me, like, a few times on video. I lost all the lives that I was collecting because I lost focus. And the other issue that I was having, other than just needing to invest myself more into it, was I was, like, waking up and doing this, so I was exhausted because I was barely sleeping in the first place, too. But now I've got my schedule at least a little bit better on, where I'm at least getting 6 hours of sleep instead of 2. It's not consistent when I'm sleeping, but I am getting the full sleep. It's a little bit more consistent, though, because I have a daughter. I can't be waking up at the ass ends of the morning. Especially because her mom's has been working a lot, because thankfully she doesn't have the same issues I have been having with finding a job. I'm really hoping I could just find a standard job, but at the same rate, I think at this point I kind of just as much want this to go somewhere. Because if this goes somewhere, I don't know, I want to be... The prospect of being able to be my own fucking boss, is a nice one. Because that's been one of the things that has been one of the primary things that got me over 2022 and the back end of 2021. I kept getting screwed over by bosses from a company that I have to remain quiet on the actual names, but I had one company lie to me about the contract, lie to me on a contract throughout all the hiring processes, through all of that, telling me that my hours were per diem, telling me that it was kind of per diem. It was, you can choose whatever you work throughout the week. You can decide how often you're in the office, but you have to work 20 hours a week. Through the interviews, through the papers, through all of that, that's what I was told. And then at the very end, I had to be sick once, I think it was. Because I got sick, so I took a day off, and they're like, oh, you can't do this last minute. And I'm like, this shouldn't really even be an issue. I was just notifying I'm not going to be in the office. I'm obviously going to need 20 hours this week still. And they were like, oh, no, you have to be in at this time. I'm like, that is not anything of what you said. And the issue with it is that I was having a little bit more complications with childcare at that point, and I was working another job. And they started telling me, oh, no, you have to be here for these meetings. You have to be here for this. You have to be for that. And I'm like, look, I'd be happy to do this if you just give me a 40-hour work week and better pay, and I'll just be a full-time employee. I don't care. I just wanted to work, and it was for a group that I used to be as a part as a teenager, and it would have been nice because it was something I really believed in doing back in the day. But no, they decided to screw me over, and since my state is at-will employment, there's nothing I could do about it because it's official that I was fired for undisclosed reasons. I fucking hate that excuse. I hate that. I can hate that your employer can completely screw you over, and without the most rock-solid of evidence, that in states like mine, it could just be like, oh, it's just fired for undisclosed reasons. But then, so that job fell through. And even with all that bullshit, I still would have kept trying to work there, but they just went and fired me. They're like, okay, no, we don't want to do this. And as far as I'm aware, they have gotten nobody else to fill that position because it seems like the only way they can get people into it is by trying to lie to them. Which I think says enough. But, the other job So I did end up having an issue with the manager at the end, mostly just because when I told her what happened, which I'm about to say, she just didn't respond to me. She just straight up just never responded to me at all. But I got injured. I took a really nasty spill and I injured my leg really badly. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm just fucked at this point. It was a retail position too. I had to be on my feet. So I was like, I forgot her name anyways, and I would have used her real one anyways, so just used like Amanda. I was like, hey Amanda, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep coming in for the holiday season, because it was in the holidays. I started working around Black Friday. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I took a really nasty spill. I fucked up my leg really badly. And she just never responded to me. She outright never responded to me. So I ended up going in, talking to one of the supervisors, and I was like, oh yeah, you got fired. I was like, okay, that's nice. I understood if I was like, okay, we have to let you go because, you know, I had just started working there and I got a bad injury and it was the holiday season. You can't really keep me on payroll at that point. But you could at least message me back. Don't wait for your fucking supervisor to fucking do it. So there was that shit over. And I remember talking to one of my other managers. Like one of my older managers. I used to work at Lego. That one I'm happy to, because I disclosed because I left Lego on really good terms. Honestly, Lego was the best job I could have asked for. I'm fairly certain it's just the general experience, but with my store, especially with the managers I had, they hired me with my skills being almost completely under the table work that I refused to disclose. And they gave me a shot. They gave me training. They gave me some of the, like, 3.5 years of the best employment I've ever had. And I can say that because every single one of my bosses since have sucked. And they weren't perfect. There were things that I would have desired to have been different. There were some issues I had with my managers, but it was all small things. And it wasn't even like I had an issue with the manager or even the person. It was just some small things that happened because not every single person you meet is going to get along with you 100%. The same thing around. But I loved working there. It was one of the only places that I've been where they said we treat our employees like family, and it was really like they were treating their employees like family. I remember once the mall that I was in tried to make us work on Thanksgiving, and Lego went, no thank you, we'll take the fine. And they just did that. They just took the fine because they wanted their workers to be able to be home with their families. And I have never really seen another company do that. And honestly, I can fairly confidently say that the ones that do that probably aren't these multi-billion-dollar corporations, because those stores were open. Which I feel really bad for the workers. But I loved working at Lego. I miss working at Lego. Like, I hated the people that came into... Most of the people that came into the store, I did not like them. Because there were a lot of really... You know the stories. That's a death. You know the stories. Everybody knows the stories of all these entitled people doing all their shit. So... I didn't always enjoy it, but even then, there were some guests that came in that I actually really liked. I had some regulars that I enjoyed talking to. Some people we just sat down, or, well, not really sat down, but I walked around the store, demonstrated a bunch of the sets, talked Technic with some people that had been working into it. I had been doing that stuff for years, longer than I've even been alive. It was nice. Lego is by and far my favorite experience. And having such good bosses, I had terrible bosses before Lego, and then I have had nothing but terrible bosses after Lego. And I've told it to their face, having such good bosses there ruined me for other jobs. It did. It just outright made me a bit more resentful. Because my bosses there didn't have to do anything more than treat their employees like actual people. They knew there was a professionalism side that has to come in eventually because, you know, it's the manager. It's their job to hold these things to as much of account as possible. But there's also the, like, fact that even the company wants their workers taken care of. So, I've been raving about Lego for like 10 minutes, haven't I? I'm not saying go work at your nearest Lego store, because I've also heard some not so great stories about individual managers, but then I've also heard about how corporate found out what was going on, came in and right away and dealt with it, because they did not want to have any of that shit in their company. So yeah, I really loved working there. I miss working there. Lego was another one. There was a lot of issues going on at the time, at the end of my tenure there. I don't know if I'm using that word right, but yeah. At the end there, I was having a lot of issues at home. I was having some issues going on and resulting to my daughter, and all of it hit my health so badly that I ended up with a DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. And it pulled me out of work for long enough at Lego that I burnt through all of my all my sick time, all of that. I was on the verge of being fired, and then I had to make the decision of, like, I don't think I'm ready to start working yet. So with that decision, I talked to my manager, and we just agreed, like, okay. It's sad because I liked working there, they liked having me there. I was really good at my job. As much as I don't like doing it, I'm pretty damn good at sales. But we agreed it was for the best for me just to leave the company at that point, so I could stay on, keep using them as good terms, on good faith, with no issues there. But it sucked. I never wanted to leave Lego like that. I wanted to stay at there until I was set in my career with whatever the fuck I was gonna make my career. So it might be a rare story, but it does happen. You will hopefully one day find a really good boss who will treat you really well, but know full well that it's going to ruin bad bosses for you even more than bad bosses already fucking suck. But yeah, so even with Lego though, I was part of the Toys R Us opening. And I'm realizing this hard for me to keep much of the secret because there was only... Okay, so I'm going to be a bit vague about it, but there was a Toys R Us opening. I was at one of them. And I helped open up the store. I think I did a lot to help open up the store. But with all of that, the bosses weren't the best. They had a lot of internal infighting. The, I don't want to say her position, but we had somebody come in from California who was like talking crap about workers behind their back. I heard her doing it. I had her do it to me. And there were so many rumors flying around that workplace. There was so much toxicity. And this was like within 2 months of the store being open. We weren't even through the holiday season with that before this was all done. And then I got lied to about my hours there. I was told that I would be put on for at least 25, 30 hours a week. And I started getting dropped down to 15 to 20. And I was like, what the fuck? And then more issues started happening in the workplace, and there was people being consistent, people not showing up, people not doing what they were supposed to be doing, and it got to me. It got to me really badly. And I was still working at Lego at the time. This was before the quarantine, or after the quarantine. I don't remember which one, but it doesn't matter. But the point of it is, at the end of it, I just went, you know what? I have another job. I'm just done here. I quit. I left on good terms. I went in there thinking of like all these things I wanted to say to give these people a piece of my mind and all that shit. And then I was just standing in there waiting to talk to the manager to quit, and I was like, there's just no point. There's just no point on dropping all that, because, and I predicted it, the store is not going to last. And the store didn't last. It closed down. Most of it, though, to give credit where it's due, is that, you know, never recovered from quarantine. But all of that was dealt with. It was exhausting. Toys R Us remains genuinely one of my worst employee experiences. I hope either it's already reopened and I haven't realized it, or it's still just rumors. But I have heard that they're going to try to reopen stores. I hope when they do it, they choose better people, not only as managers, but on the top. Because I know for a fact that that lady that kept coming into the store, who was like one of the higher up executives, did not help the workplace environment. And if one of your first 2 stores are having that much difficulty and the workplace is already that toxic, when you're depending on this team to help get your stores off the ground, you know you fucked up somewhere. And I predicted it, and I was right. The moment I saw all that happening, especially after working at a company like Lego where the things they're doing is working, and then I don't directly say, hey, we should do this because it's worked over here, but I'm like, you know, some of my other jobs, this is the stuff we've done and it worked, and I pointed that out and it was ignored, and I was like, okay, so I'll do this your way, and then it didn't really work out because there was flaws throughout most of the system, and then it just didn't work out. So I don't always like feeling smug about being right, but with the way things went there, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Fuck you. You should just listen to me. But it's whatever. At the end of the day, with all of this, it's just, and it's probably why I didn't actually give them the peace of my mind like I wanted to. It didn't matter. Nothing I said or did there was gonna change anything. I wanted it to succeed. It was fucking Toys R Us, one of the things that I've had good memories about growing up. But it didn't work out. It's whatever. Now, the other companies I've worked at aren't like big mega corps, so I don't want to bring them up. But between all this, I have tried working at 2 warehouses. And I genuinely tried. I gave it my all. But I have a lot of really old injuries, and one of them is a permanent. I don't even know what I could do about it at this point. It's an unhealed, if is the right term, but it's not a fully healed injury along my spine, where my muscles are constantly straining and overextending themselves to try to just support the weight of my back and shoulders and head. That it's physical labor is almost impossible for me for nowadays. Like, I do my best, because I'm moving soon. That's gonna be fucking miserable. I do my best, but doing thing like warehouse work, which is taxing and backbreaking for people without injuries, I try, but it's just straight up not gonna happen. And it sucks because that limits a lot of what I can do. I just realized he's talking.
By a corrupted world under Maker rule. It did not need to end this way.
So one of the big things I did at Lego was I helped handle shipments. I was one of the shipment associates. I was good at it. I was really good at it. But now with this injury, I don't know if I'm going to be able to properly do that anymore. Because even with Lego, they're small, light boxes. At least most of them are. But that much heavy lifting for hours in the day like it would be, it burns through you. It causes a lot worse pains in your back. And I was lifting things properly because, you know, kind of learn how to lift things. Even if you don't go in knowing how to do it, they make sure you know how to do it. And I went in knowing how to do it. But it's taxing. It's a really fucking bad injury. I don't even know what I can do about it at this point. I have gone to a doctor, and I don't know. Nothing was really done. So I'm just like, is there nothing that can be done? If I like do that thing you do with, I think it's with the torn muscles, where you reopen the injury so you can try to let it heal properly, and it's a bad process. I don't know if that's something you could do here because it's on my fucking spine. Might just be something I have to deal with, like sometimes on how people, you know, their leg doesn't heal right, which is something I have also. Or your knee doesn't heal right, which is something I also have. So it's just things I deal with at this point. And a side note there, I remember being really invested in those debates when I was younger. It's like, is marching band a sport? And I always go, yeah, it's heavy physical labor, and, you know, you can get really hurt in it. Like, I have gotten hurt in it. I used to carry around fucking, what was it, a 20-pound drum? Because I used to... So I went into marching band playing the flute. Then I swapped over to the tuba. I did that for like 2-3 years. Then I swapped over to the bass drum. I had the biggest drum. It was massive. I'm a big person, and it still took up more of my torso than I had. That's a weird way to phrase that. It took up my entire torso plus some. And then I was the drum major. Like, I closed off as my last 2 years as junior drum major and then drum major. And especially in the tuba and drum years, I got injured a bit, honestly. Some of it was from me mishandling the tuba and sousaphone, because I was a kid who was still pretty scrawny and skinny going through puberty and started carrying a fucking tuba on my shoulder for hours at a time, to the point where my shoulders got lopsided. My left shoulder had so much muscle, and my right one had a lot less, and it took me forever to get a balance back there. Like, it took me so long to have a straight shoulder line because of how unbalanced the muscle mass was distributed. And it used to make me feel awful. Like, I'd be walking around, I'll see my reflection, like, just barely. It could be like through, you know, one of those really cloudy car windows where it's hard to see anything through it. And I'll see my reflection through it, and I'm like, oh, why do I look like that? So I used to walk. Like, I would make a conscious decision to raise my right shoulder up so I have a straight shoulder line. And for the longest time, I barely even realized it for most of the time, but eventually I noticed that my shoulder was constantly aching. The right one, my arm was always a little bit sore because I was constantly holding myself up. It's weird things like that. Being self-conscious can do things to a motherfucker. How else are you gonna do it? Especially when you're going through puberty and your entire life experience is just trying to seek, like, some form of approval. It's like one thing I've always felt like I want approval. I want to be acknowledged. I don't know if maybe that's a subconscious reason that why my brain turned to I want to be a writer. Because, yeah, I have a lot of stories I enjoy and a lot of stories I love. I don't have to be a professional writer to have those, but I want people to read these stories. I want people to like these stories. And the best way to do that is to write them and put them out there. I don't give a fuck about money and fame. And at the end of the day, like, you have to remember that even attention can go that poor way, the same way money and fame constantly goes. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say that. Negative attention is a huge thing. But I don't want that attention to me as a person. Like, I'm a private person. I don't like eyes on me. I don't know how I would be able to process fame. Like, even if this YouTube thing goes somewhere, I don't know if I'd be able to process fame. Imagine being as famous as fucking Markiplier. That sounds horrifying to me. To have people recognizing you in public and you don't even know who the hell they are, other than they're a fan, and it's like, yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, what you're doing. I appreciate that you watch my stuff, that you engage in my stuff. But I feel really bad. I have no idea who the hell you are. I have no idea how people like him do it. And I've seen some of those clips where he says that was one of the biggest heartbreakers for him when he realized that he would no longer be able to have those types of connections with his audience. And even now, it's okay, I can't even say it's a very small circle of people anymore. I think it's like, I don't have a raw number. I have some stuff where I've actually written things I'm not going to disclose, and I have people who are really engaged in it, and it feels bad sometimes that I have no idea who some of these people are. So I can't talk with them, I can't engage with them, I can't go into depth, because that's one of the things I love the most, being able to take a work, write it, and then sit down and talk with people about it, engage with them in what they've just read, that you wrote, answer questions, discuss with them, and then you can get ideas that you never would have thought of yourself. One of my biggest issues with some of these professional writers nowadays is that they want to sit around and tell you that they thought of it all in the start. What's that famous quote? I'm gonna say, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I thought about it all back in the 90s. That's bullshit. Not one single author on this planet has every single meticulous detail thought out the moment they start writing. And I'm an amateur. I'm an amateur writer. And I've been writing for a total of 6-7 years. And I've written full stories. Now, there's stuff that needs to be better tweaked and worked on, which is why they're never gonna, they're not, or ever, probably most of them are never even going to be out there. They're private works for me and my friends. But where is it? Even with those, even with the ones that I have sat down and planned a lot of details out, things ended up getting changed. Things get altered. Better ideas come in and out. And as a writer, you, as a person, just sit there and be like, yeah, you know what? This is a plot hole because I didn't think about that. Because I accidentally I got a little bit of tunnel vision. I was so excited to present this new idea that I forgot what I had already written. That is like the basic, easiest fucking thing to do on this planet. And anybody who can't do that is so prideful that they think that they can bullshit and people are just gonna immediately believe them. Like we're stupid. Nobody thinks of all this stuff as once, and there's nothing wrong with that. Improvisation is the best skill for a writer. To be able to take something that happened or something that you messed up and improvise it into something good. Even just with basic character studies, I've had to do that sometimes, where a decision I've made ends up not lining as well, and through improvisation and sometimes help from people who are either, sometimes it's, one of the most recent things I worked on was with somebody who was a lot less familiar with the work and only had a little bit of basic information because it was something I was still working on. Most of the details weren't written down yet. But as I sat down, I talked through it with them, and through that, it helped me figure out the issue I was having. Got it to not just line up, but become better, and now one of my favorite characters. It's one of the things I'm overjoyed to be writing, and it's I just bugged through the fucking map. Excuse me? I just bugged through the map. Okay, so like I was saying, one of my favorite characters now, one of my favorite things I'm working on right now, and that was because I recognized that I made a mistake, needed some help, sat down, got it done, got it worked through, and now it's something great. Great things happen because of improvisation, not because of one person stubbornly insisting that they sat down and did everything themselves. So you should admit to it. You should reconcile with the fact that you can't do all of it at once because you're going to be better for it. When you sit down with people and you talk through things with them and you work on it together, that's what's going to spawn the best thing. Some of my favorite writers, you sit down and look at their actual acknowledgments, and it says, I talked about this, or discussed this, or had help with these, like X and X person. Not, thank you, me, myself, and I, who thought of everything on the spot. Like, just fuck, man. What type of pride do you have to be so stubborn that you're gonna just lie to your audience like that and be like, oh, I did all this by myself. I thought of all this on the spot. You saying this is a plot hole is bullshit. What do you mean it's a contrivance? I thought of this new reason on the spot. And like, cool, but the reason you thought of on the spot is kind of still not great. Why not just admit you made a mistake and go on from there? People are gonna clown on you less. You just admit you made a mistake. Like, straight up, they'll clown on you less. Got a little bit of Vinci there. I want to make it clear that while my example was of one specific author, she's not the only one that does that. A lot of people do that. Even it's a thing I've seen really common, especially in amateur rings, where you have people insisting that they know all this stuff and they meant to do it. Just admit you made a mistake, man.
I'm sure
And that goes even more so for people who aren't professional writers. What the fuck do you have to do? What the fuck are you even doing? It's not a published work. You made a mistake. It's not too late. You can go back and fix it. But that's some of my advice for people that are trying to write. And it's something to keep in mind, especially when writing a series. You're never going to think of everything on the spot. If you make a mistake, just kind of own up to it. Reconcile with the fact that you made a mistake, and then work on it from there. You want to know what's a great mark of a writer? When you could take something you did on accident, and you can make it look like you always meant to do it. You don't have to lie and say, oh, hey, I meant to do that. No, you can just make it work in the story. Make the mistake still work in the story without having to pretend like, oh, you're ridiculous for pointing this out. I meant to do that. It was on purpose. Oop. Oop. I just lost another extra life. I am nearing the end of the level, which is nice. Get over here. I didn't check the weekly challenges this time. I probably should have. I'll do it at the start of the next one. I think I'm going to record just this one today, because I have a lot of other stuff I have to do today. But this will be set to go for tomorrow. I didn't even realize how fast this episode was going, how fast this has been going by. I've been recording for almost an hour already. I've just been enjoying what I'm talking about this time, and that's just... I'm honestly, as upset as I am that I had to take a break. Am I about to die at this part? As upset as I am that I had to take a break because I wanted to just straight do all of it, I'm kind of happy I did. I feel better. I just feel emotionally better for having taken a break. I'm going to do this right now instead. I would have kept getting more and more frustrated if I just kept trying to do this all straight throughout, without rest, without breathing, with just pushing myself through. So I'm happy I took that break. It's helping get my head clear, so I can start working on some of my other projects too. I do have like one of those history channels in the works. I forgot if I said anything about that. I'm debating just straight up putting it on this channel, honestly. I might just micro put all of these experiences onto the one channel and just make it a variety channel. Like, oh, I'll have criticisms here, I'll have history here, I'll have gameplay here. If my whole thing that I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to get people to come here for me, and not just for what I'm putting out, then there's a good way to solidify that is just putting it would be just everything together, wouldn't it? I don't know. I guess we'll find out, because I don't really want to have to manage multiple channels at once. So we'll find it out. There's a history thing in the works. I have something else I've been working on that I cannot find at the moment. That's not it. It's editing notes. Those are quotes. That is not it. Ah, right here. Yeah, I have reading in the works because I keep being told that I have a nice voice to listen to. You've been listening to me talk this entire time. You care to agree or deny that? Confirm or deny? I was entertaining the idea of doing like story rewrites for parts of stories I'm not satisfied with, because I realized, especially recently, there's a lot of things that I really, really like that I don't like very much. And I mean like story-wise, because it's a collection of really nice concepts that is fucked up by the execution. But that's a lot more of a taxing thing, and I don't know how confident I feel in doing it. I'd probably do more, especially because I'm basically constructing an entire narrative. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about trying to rewrite people's work, because it's easy to sit down and say, look, at these story beats, this would have worked better. And there's some examples where things are so horrendous and the choices made are that bad that you could just give up a general outline and it's already better. And the one that comes to mind super easily is the fucking Star Wars remakes, which incidentally is the only one I have written down because it's the only one I actually felt comfortable doing that for. But then you also have things where, like, what was the other one? Seven Deadly Sins. It's funny because I haven't watched the entire show, but I do know the entire story just because it interested me enough to go out and actually try to figure out everything that happened. But trying to take that and say I can present this better feels wrong to me. Especially because the primary thing I don't like about it is the ending. I don't like how the ending of that show goes, oh, so everything that you were doing, turns out there was this other thing in the background and also your friend's been manipulating you the entire time. I don't like plot reveals like that. Especially because they threw so much at you at once. And to have the Demon King come back a second time, with the curse to come back a second time after that huge defeat of him, after all that climax, it undoes the previous climax of beating him and adds so much unnecessary shit that while chaos is a cool concept, I think it should have just been chaos is a cool concept, and Merlin being one of its disciples are both as cool concepts, and I enjoy what they did with Excalibur being a sword, Excalibur and Arthur, the way they did those. I enjoy those. I think it should have been done throughout the story better, with little plot threads and shit hanging in, all showing you that there is something else going on, with people steadily growing more suspicious of Merlin, until you reach the point where everything's done, and she has to convince them to help her. Maybe use Cat Pug to help you do that, instead of saying, oh, there's this, yeah, this guy was there, but it was actually the enemy. No, have it that this is an overcoming threat that you cannot beat alone, so the only way you can beat it is by awakening Arthur. There, I think that would have been a lot better than just, oh, I was secretly tricking you the entire time. I thought that was bullshit. But, alright, let me go through this gate. That's one of the ideas that I do have that I'm uncertain about, because it's not something I'm really comfortable doing. The thing I'm more comfortable doing is the history of and the reading, which is two things that I'll probably actually do. And there's also fan stories and fan rewrites that I'm debating, except that kind of vaguely delves into fan fiction, and I don't feel like delving that far into like the Fan Fiction Network or AO3. Maybe I'll just take recommendations from friends on what I should read. But, yeah. So, got all that. I missed one of the challenges here, but I don't really care about them anymore, because the challenges really just give you Sentinel batteries, and I've gotten everything I want on that ship anyways. And again, it's one of those things, I've already 100%ed it, so why am I going to go out of my way to 100% it again? And it's not like I'm not doing solid here anyways. But yeah, that was Doom Eternal. Thank you for stopping by for this episode. Next time we are going to Necrovault. Depending how long it takes to get through that might be just a long episode. If I complete the first part in like under 40 minutes, I'll just do them both and accept that it's going to be a little bit longer of an episode, which I kind of got more used to doing after the Dead Space remake, where I think half of those ended up being over an hour long, or right near an hour long. Alright, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a good day. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.